What's going on, YouTube? So this is my 17th month lock update. 17 months, almost 2 years. And I know we're all on different journeys, and we all have different hair types, and we all have different progressions. But for me, at 17 months, first of all, I'm excited to have continued on with growing my locks. It's been touch and go. And we all know the phases. If you're on the journey, then you know the beginning part is called that. Well, when you first leave with your comb coils or your braid locks or whatever, you're like, man, you're excited. But then you have that ugly phase where shit's just looking really rough. And you're like, I don't know about this. I don't know if I can continue on, because it will require you to just kind of like, you know, not like have any expectations now. You just have to have faith that it's going to be okay. And only a few people are willing to stick it out, you know, because things are rough. I don't care. You go and you pay your money and you come out of there and they still look a little rough because there's budding and, you know, and your locks are really just trying to form and establish themselves. But I promise you, once all that is said and done, you have locks that are congruent. If they're maintained by somebody who knows what they're doing, there's a lot of consistency in the lock. See that little bit of hair right there? That is like hair that grows away from a lock, which was incorporated the last time I had to retighten it. You could take that hair and kind of like wrap it around the lock. If you were palm rolled or if you're interlocked, I mean, if you're crochet, you take the hair and you just stab it in the lock with the crochet needle. But I'm not, so interlocking pulls all of that in there, and then I have to just rely on natural locking process for it to eventually work itself out. And as you can see, it eventually will become a very uniformed lock. All my locks have a very uniform structure throughout. There's no holes, there's no gaps, there's no, they're all, you know, they're different sizes, but for the most part, they're all in good condition. And you really couldn't tell that my hair is interlocked, because, you know, like I said, there's no holes in there. And I'm learning that you have to not style your locks. Locks breathe and they relax and they contract and they shrink and they grow. They're like tree branches. They need to move and just be with the wind. And when they're wet, they're heavy. When they're dry, they shrink. They expand and contract. And with that, the fibers go in and they just lock and they get stuck, and then they get wound up and then bound up, and then you just have this beautiful lock. But you always have them under tension and ponytails, and, you know, and it looks great and it's twisted and it's really tight. Yeah, the locking process will eventually happen, but you're not allowing that natural process of contracting and growing, contracting and growing, and just growing naturally. And you know, so I've allowed that to happen with my fine hair. I have, not fine as in, but fine as in really thin hair. I have really naturally thin hair. And then the front hair, just gonna get real up and close and personal. My hairline has been like this since the day I was born, but my loctician does her job of, you know, gathering up those hairs and pulling them in. I could be like most people and get this taken down and lined up, but I don't. I don't even let it bother me. It's just my hairline is what my hairline is. See, I have these dry patches here. This is so gross, but this is real. and I get them on my temples here. I'm not sure why. These just dry areas. I can flake it out as much as I can. I don't have that anywhere else in my hair, just on the temples. I get these dry areas. And I could treat that with a little oil. And once I get my hair wash, that'll come out, but nothing to freak out about. Your hair flakes off and mixes with the oil, and you know, it is what it is. But I don't get that anywhere else. But back to the thin hairline, like I've always had, it was worse than that. I cover it up, my locks get longer, it'll be fine. You know, it won't be as noticeable. But that, and the back of my hair, as most people, is the most dense hair. Around the front, the top area, it's finer, and then the front hair is just really thin. But I was born with an old man hairline, so you just need somebody who can baby your hair and not try to get it to do something that it can't naturally do. You know, like putting these big locks on hair would have just provided an extra amount of friction, and they would eventually got my hairline to be further and further back because it's just finer hair. So you put these smaller locks in, and you don't palm roll and ripping fibers. You do something really that's gonna cause you the least amount of tension, and they'll keep growing, you know. But you have to have somebody who understands the hair that you have. You could bring in a picture in there of the best, you know, set of locks you've ever seen. But if it doesn't work with the kind of hair that you got, you won't get to 17 months. You won't get to 7 days because you'll look in the mirror and you'll be disappointed. So your best bet is to work with the hair that you got and go from there. And that's what I've done. And I can really say that I appreciate these set of locks. I can look at somebody else's locks and say their locks are great, but I like my locks. I like the structure of my locks. I like what they have grown to be. This has been a wonderful learning process for me, for just focusing on what I need to do for my hair and keeping it on my head and keeping it healthy and all that good stuff. They're mine, you know, and that's the thing about locks, is the individuality. You know, everybody can go get their own locks, but they're all going to be different, and everybody's journey is going to show in their hair, you know. And even if somebody had bumpier locks or freeform locks, I don't consider any of that ugly. It just shows their process, and you know, and you just have to accept that that's what their hair looks like. I have friends who have freeform locks that are as big as my wrist, you know, and they're just huge, and you know, and they only have a few of them, but that's their representation of themselves and their hair. But I'm not going to hold you long. Here's the front, 17 months. Here's the side. Here's the back. Here's the other side. Here's the front. Right, so 17 months. What should I do for my 2-year lock-iversary? Should I cut them off? No. I don't know. I'll think of something. But I want to see where they're going to be. As you know, they're here now. If I can, you know, left check, they're at my ear right here for the most of them. And another thing, I have a big ass head. If I had a normal size head like normal size people, my locks would probably be down here. But my head is like, is ginormous. My hands are huge. My head is even bigger. So my locks are can only grow like a normal growth rate, but they're growing on a big ass head. So I'm grateful for the length that I have, but they're mid face now. If by 2 years I could be here, that'll be awesome. That would be awesome. But again, it's no race. It just is what it is. But right here would be great. Let's see. I'll compare the video at the 2-year mark. My locks are a little bit below my ear, which I'm being conservative. I think it can make it though. But anyway, peace and blessings. Enjoy your journey. Happy growing. And subscribe. Please subscribe. I mean, you know, if you've made it this far in the video, subscribe, like, comment. Yeah. Bye.